Sara Civian covers hockey for the Bleacher Report, the Too Many Men podcast. She's based in Boston, so we thought after the activities this week between the Bruins and the Canucks, we should bring her on and ask her who got the better of the Zadorov Lindholm for DeBrusk, Heinen, and Forbort trade. How you doing, Sara?
Oh, I'm great. How are you? I feel like this is the switcheroo of the century, but I do think the Bruins are desperately needed a first-line center, while the Canucks do still need a little bit better defense. So I do think the Bruins made it out better, but I am biased towards Jake DeBrusk, and we'll get into that.
Yeah, well, we brought you on because we wanted to know more about these new Canucks. You've been covering them there for a while. Tell us a little bit about the Jake DeBrusk you know.
Yeah, well, I started covering DeBrusk before I went to the Athletic to cover the Carolina Hurricanes. That was like one of my first year covering the league. It was one of his first in the league, and he scored that Game 7 goal against the Maple Leafs. And I just remember interviewing him after. It's the most sincere to this day interview I think I've ever done. Just the way he didn't want to leave, and he just kept saying, I could stay on the ice forever if I could. And then I'm writing my article. I'm like, I could write forever if I could. His electricity, I mean, you know his dad, Louis, same vibes. Just they are electric, down-to-earth, great people. And that's exactly how Jake plays the game, with like the most ferocious forecheck I've ever seen in my life. He might be streaky with the goals, but they always come up big. Like, he is so pound for pound great when it comes to the playoff goals and when it comes to the most aggressive forecheck, and that happens on the penalty kill, which the Canucks need.
Yeah, help me out with this, Sara, because it seemed like his name was in trade rumors a lot, and that it just seemed weird for a young player who had success, was a first-round pick, had the pedigree and all that.
And you're not the only one with this report card either.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I'll be careful with this, but some of the younger players on the Bruins for those years did not exactly do well under Bruce Cassidy. DeBrusk had a resurgence under Jim Montgomery. That was pretty evident, that you could see that it was a coaching change. It was getting more slots on the first line, and he plays really well. I mean, who doesn't play well on the first line? Some people, but I think he plays pretty well on the first line, and he can hang. He has the speed for sure. He does really well with other players that have a certain type of speed. So I think giving him the opportunity and hearing him out has been important, and I think he can thrive with, Ricky T.
Are you able to pin down why the inconsistency? Because we've heard that from others as well. Do you think it's just an inability to finish at times? Does the forecheck come and go? What prevents him from being a 30-goal scorer, do you think?
It's absolutely the inability to finish. It's not the forecheck. It's kind of a Matthew Tkachuk situation, and I've talked to Tkachuk about Paul Maurice, and he said the reason he thrives under Paul Maurice is because when he has those streaks where he's not generating offense, that Maurice doesn't beat him up for it, and he still gives him kind of the same leash because he knows he's going to get it back, and he knows he's not going to mess up on defense. Jake DeBrusk, you don't see him messing up on defense while still exerting the effort, so I do like that part of his game a lot.
The acquisition of another guy that can score, chip in at least, in Danton Heinen, but also throw his weight around is just what the doctor ordered for the Canucks as well, and the middle six, and if they beef up, maybe even can slide Heinen down to a fourth line, for heaven's sakes. But talk about what do you think he adds to the team, and as a local boy too, how excited he must be.
Heiden's awesome. You saw the story with the PTO, right? He never gave up. It was years of kind of back and forth when he didn't really deserve that. He's always been pretty good analytically. I mean, he's an even strength god. That's how I describe him. And he was playing so few minutes. What was it? 14.07 per game with the Bruins. And he still chipped in pretty significantly offensively. So I do think given maybe a bigger opportunity, he could thrive more. I mean, he never really did that rookie season that he had, but he played sheltered minutes last year and still really rose to the occasion in ways, especially on even strength, that the Bruins needed. So,
and Forbort, from all we can understand, he is a puck eater.
And we hear he's a bit of a funny guy. We hear there's a quirky personality there with Forbort. Sara, what can you tell us?
He's a tough guy. He's a great sport. I mean, there's been times where he's been in and out of the lineup, and he's just been a really good sport about it. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a top pairing defenseman, but he does play his role extremely well when called, and he tries hard. And again, with a penalty kill, I think that really shores it up for the Canucks.
All right. What about the ex-Canucks? You said Lindholm's going to play top line center for Boston?
Somebody has to, am I right? And I think you've seen Lindholm thrive in that role back with the Hurricanes, and you wonder when there's going to be a resurgence of that. I think he's somebody that also does well given a bigger opportunity. And I think, I mean, you go next to Pastrnak, hello, you're going to have a great time. So I think that could work. But I don't know. That story is still unwritten with the Bruins first line. And then you have Zadorov. I love him. I know he's called me out a few times for the fashion sense stuff. And I'm happy that if Ullmark is leaving, that we in the media and in Bruins Nation here get a well-dressed man. He stopped with the mock turtleneck. So that was my only qualm with him. I'm excited to see that. But I love that he said, "Don't call me Big Z." That is just such a good personality.
He reads the room well, doesn't he? Like he is going to be character number one, I think, in that Boston room.
And the Bruins love like a huge defenseman. So they got their Bergeron maybe 2.0. I don't want to say that. They got their Chara 2.0.
That's right.
If we don't have the Sara Civian and Nikita Zadorov hockey fashion podcast by January, Sarah, something has gone very, very wrong.
True, that would work.
Because
a credential excuse there.
I'm not sure you saw him on Hockey Night in Canada this past year, but he does not hold back. Like, he's one of these snobby, mean fashion types.
He made fun of the broadcaster's shoes.
Exactly.
Poor Dave Tomlinson. Yeah.
That's the whole dang point that I started this. I want them to start calling me out. I want them to start having these personalities that I think when it's not about hockey and when it's about something more lighthearted, it goes such a long way in the way they talk about it, because they don't want to talk about themselves, especially it's a we before me league. But if you're talking about something they're wearing or even what a different guy is wearing, it's easier to kind of get the personality out.
100%. Draw them out of their shell.
It honestly sounds like in addition to being a pretty decent hockey trade, and of course it wasn't a trade, but you know what we're talking about. It sounds like there's characters going each direction as well. Guys that are good talkers as well and can connect with the fans, Sarah.
Yeah, Forbort's hilarious. DeBrusk, I think he's just such a wholesome. He's a great sellier, and he loves to teach like kids in the area sellies. I don't know if that's kind of thing, but I think he is so like energetic about the game and passionate while being like an upstanding guy. I love the way he represents hockey, and obviously he's from generally the area a little bit. So yeah. I don't know. I'm a real big fan of him, even if maybe he's not like the sassy, snarky type, but he just kind of reminds you why you love the players in this game while bringing kind of a personality at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for the time here today. We'll look for Nikita and Sarah's Hockey Fashion podcast somewhere down the road here. Have yourself a marvelous summer if we don't catch up, and we'll talk soon.
Sure thing. Thanks, guys.
Hey, everybody. If you're enjoying what you're seeing here, then follow along with Sekeres and Price on YouTube. I promise more content coming.
The kids call it subscribe on YouTube.
Well, how about liking it?
Do that as well. Smash it right now.